Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about Gary Ridgway, aka the Green River Killer, in case you couldn't tell by the video down there, by the title. But anyway, that man was really, really great at being a sick motherfucker and getting away with it. Uh, none of his, a few of Ted Bundy's victims survived, believe it or not, and quite a few people have gotten away from serial killers. One person got away from John Wayne Gacy, I think, and another one almost escaped Jeffrey Dahmer, but the incompetent police set that kid up to be murdered. Anyway, none of his victims escaped his grasp, and to top it, well, there was one when he was 16. He stabbed this 6-year-old boy, but was never caught for it. The kid survived, by the way. But anyway, he had a real knack for killing people in rather despicable ways and getting away with it. He would, when he would go back to have sex with the bodies, like a lot of serial killers will do, and he would often leave things like, cigarette butts from ashtrays and things that, letters from other people and things like that, paper, trash, because he knew that there would be DNA on those things and it would be hard to identify him that way. He also would use ploys to like he'd always have a picture of his son, like near his driver's license or his cash that he would lure these prostitutes with, and he used his son's picture. Sometimes he even took his son with him, believe it or not, to put these women at ease and to make them think, oh, he can't be a vicious murdering sicko, he has a kid. But the reality is a lot of these sickos do have kids. And some of them are really loving fathers. Anyway, he also, believe it or not, he started burying bodies after a while to, so he could resist the urge for to be all necrophilic on them. And Ted Bundy contacted these Seattle police, Seattle used to be his hunting ground, by the way, and so they went down to Florida to talk with him on death row, and he said stake out the bodies and see if he comes back, because he's probably having sex with the bodies, and Ted Bundy was right. However, the problem is that by the time they found the bodies, they were usually nothing more than skeletons, and although Gary Ridgway admitted to having necrophilic sex with them, with maggots, to the point where there were maggots all over them. By the time they were skeletons, I think they pretty much lost all their appeal to him. I don't know how you could get into necrophilia, especially after, the body starts decomposing, it gets all nasty and smells horrible. I mean, God. Anyway, what we get down to is he would change whenever he would sometimes murder women in his house. Sometimes he'd take them out into the woods and whatever, and whenever he did a murder in his house, he would always throw all his clothes and his bed sheets into the into the washer, because obviously to clean up all evidence, and even before he went to dispose of the body. However, his what's interesting about this man is that his IQ was tested at 82, which is rather low, and he was either kind of like a savant. He was one of two things. He was either like a savant, someone who's not who has a rather low IQ but can do something amazingly well, and his and it appears his talent was sadistically murdering women and getting away with it. See, he had a real problem, or I think he also might have been hiding his intelligence. He may have been forced to repeat the same grade twice, but he was very intelligent. He was clearly, he might have been hiding his intelligence. Remember, that's what a lot of serial killers do. They keep a lot of things secret, obviously. And I have often suspected that that man hid his intelligence. I've known a few people who hide their intelligence, and I think that he might have been one of them. And, anyway, he was eventually, convicted of 48 murders after 20 years of being at large. And what happened is he confessed to 71, and some estimates put the figure at 90 kills for him. And anyway, he currently is doing 48 or so consecutive life sentences with no chance of parole. And he pled guilty to avoid the death penalty. And what's really interesting about him is he actually slowed down after a while. From 82 to 83, he was killing women left and right, about 3 or 4 a month, a lot of the time. And afterwards, he could go a few years without killing, and it gradually spanned longer than that. It just got longer and longer as time went on. He would kill one woman every few years after that. His first victim was in 1982. His last victim was in 1998, and he was convicted and sent to prison forever in 2003. And what we have here is just, although Gary Ridgway, he also used his ploy at, he worked at a truck factory for like 30 years, and his job was to paint trucks, and he painted his truck multiple times during his murder spree because he made it much. He didn't want the police to be able to identify him that way, which was really smart. He also would have these big yard sales and often would sell his victim's stuff there. Not only that, he would sometimes leave jewelry at work for women to find. He would go into various places and just drop random stuff like jewelry and let random people pick it up. It was really weird. But anyway, inside Gary Ridgway's sick little mind, he tried to. He was just stoic in the courtroom for the most part. Although he did later, he was just all dry and stuff like that. But he did later on cry and say, "I'm sorry for killing all these poor, helpless, defenseless women who did nothing to me." But it was just bullshit. Everybody watching this, who has a fully functional brainstem, knows that this fucker isn't really sorry. No. He's sorry he can't kill more. And, anyway, what's unusual about him is that he appeared to not only cool down, slow down his killing spree, but he eventually, it seemed, stopped altogether. He could have, I mean, if he was still at large, I would give him about, an 80% chance he would kill someone again eventually. But he didn't get that chance, so will he ever kill again? Would he have killed again if he were free? We will never know. That being said, it's time to conclude my video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it educational. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And, if you can, leave a donation. It's for a good cause. See ya.